Mm. Well, hello, everybody. Um, my name's George, and today I'm privileged to give a talk to our group, and which is called Heart to Heart. And the title of today's talk that I've settled on is The Journey from Me to We. That could also be thought of as the journey from ego to love. Uh, and it could also title the talk I used to be different, but now I'm the same. And I love that. But it's the meaning of that is, when I was exclusively identified with my ego, with the voice in my head, then I was different than everyone else. And unfortunately, I was different in you know uh, unpleasant ways, less than, estranged, cut off, not able to connect, um, depressed, a lot of all those things. Um, and the other half of that statement, but now I'm the same, that refers to the recognition and the direct experience, which I'm sure every one of us has and have had, of of the self, or the real self, so to speak, outside of the mind. And it's my belief that what we discover when we quiet the mind or step out of it is an awareness, an underlying deep awareness and presence. And I believe that we're all that. Each one of us is that. And that's where we are the same. We are not the same at the exterior level, but at the level of spirit or whatever animates us, we are the same. There's one spirit. These are my beliefs. There's one spirit, and that animates us all. So that's where we are the same. That's spirit behind the Hindu greeting and benediction, Namaste. I think that's roughly, the spirit in me recognizes and honors the spirit in you. Or I've heard it said, when I'm in touch with the spirit in me, and you are in touch with the spirit in you, we are one, something like that. Um, so let's just start. So yesterday was a very, very big day. It was a very important day. And it was, for me, it was a kind of a Karate Kid day, number one. It was also a Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine kind of day. Third, it was an Amway Corporation kind of day. Those of us with gray hair can remember the Amway Corporation. And all of that was because it was another kind of day, which is a put my wife's happiness before and above my own career kind of day. And you can all imagine what that means. So yesterday was 24 hours before this talk, and oh boy, was I ever nervous and frantic and not feeling not don't have enough time, etc., etc. And my wife and I, Sharon, we had an agreement that at 12:15 I was going to drive her a new to an appointment at a new hair salon in an area that she's not familiar with. So I had volunteered a week ago, said, I'll take you, and because I'm good at navigation. And we kind of we're going to make a little bit of a day out of it. There's a Palestinian bakery where they sell um, meat pies and spinach pies, which my grandmother, Lebanese grandmother, used to make, and which I love so much. And there's another bakery close to that where we could get some, exotic sweets. So half an hour before we were to leave, let's say at quarter to 12, I asked Sharon, I said, so please, honey, remind me again why I'm going. Um, I'm supposed to talk with Joe at 2 o'clock. It's quarter to 12. I really need the time, to get this talk prepared. And so why is it again that I'm going? And and she reminded me, but she also let me know I could tell that she was uncomfortable. It was a kind of disquiet about her. And it was because I was kind of pulling the rug under her, changing the program, at the last minute. And I could sense that. And really, I'm going to maybe exaggerate, but maybe within 30 seconds or so, I came around to, you know what, honey? Okay, I'm going to do this as we said I was going to. And I did. And I was able to do it without, I was able to pivot. I'm just going to call it a pivot, without animosity or a grudge or being resentful, et cetera, which I've often done. That's kind of my MO. It's like, okay, I'll do whatever it is somebody's asking me to do, but I'm not going to like it. So anyway, that didn't happen. And that happened, like I say, almost instantaneously. So that's why I'm calling it, yesterday a Karate Kid moment. Everybody will remember who saw the movie, the young student wanted to learn karate from the master, and the master accepted and put the young student to work, uh, straightening up the house, painting it, cleaning things up, organizing. And the student was eventually very annoyed with this and said, you're going to teach me karate. All you're doing is having me paint your place. And so then the teacher basically threw him an unexpected punch, and the kid instinctively, boom, made a motion that he had learned through painting, which deflected and blocked that punch. That was his aha moment. Had been being taught all along. He didn't realize it. And when the moment came, there it was. The teaching was there. So I had that kind of moment yesterday. I call it also a Thomas Aquinas Day because, as probably everybody knows, Thomas Aquinas, and along with St. Augustine, Aquinas was one of the premier theologians of his day in the Catholic Church, and as was Augustine, 100,000 years earlier, maybe, whatever. And eventually, Thomas Aquinas had an epiphany through a meditation experience or a direct experience of, let's just say, a direct experience of a God experience or self. And once he had that experience, he said, everything that I've written up to this point, and it was apparently quite a bit, he said, it's like straw, it means nothing because it means nothing compared to the direct experience of what those writings are supposed to be talking about. By the way, I'm just thinking of this now. Rumi had the same kind of experience. He was an academic, very well respected, etc. And when he met, anyway, his teacher named Shams, once that happened and he experienced also the love within himself, felt the same way in everything. So I experienced that too, realizing that, what really matters here today is that I'm able to make this pivot and love my wife and show up in a loving way. That's what matters. The explanation of it or my background or how I got to this point, etc., is really irrelevant or doesn't really matter very much. So there went the whole content of my talk, which was going to be about me and how this is my story and lottie lottie lottie. It went out. So it was also an Amway Corporation Day, I said, because one of the slogan from Amway way back when in the day, 40, 50 years ago, when they were selling household products and nutritional items, the slogan was, well, become a product of the product. And once you're taking these products and are benefiting from them, it will be very easy then to show the value to other people, and they will want this also. but you have to become a product of the product first. Can't just talk about it. That recognition, along with physician heal thyself, a motto that I've held myself to a high standard, to that standard, all of which kept me from ever wanting, being willing to talk to people about spiritual things. And I feel that what happened yesterday with Sharon, my wife, my pivot, was really kind of like the capstone, probably the highlight, so to speak, of my life. I mean, it was the first time when I could actually, without any real trouble, let go of my own agenda, my wishes, needs, something that I thought was especially important, and make the shift right then and there. We have a slogan on the refrigerator that says, "Think we before me." And like most ladies, probably, my wife is very good at that already. For me, it's a learning experience. And I felt like yesterday, I got a little gold star. Um, yeah. Um, so that's why. Oh, and also, so yesterday, what happened yesterday made today possible, really, because without having really had felt that yesterday, I would feel like today's talk would be kind of more or less academic or whatever, and it would be dry. Um, but having had that experience, and I feel I've given myself a green light, could say, to talk about it. Um, well, I'm going to just shut up for a moment. And come back to the present moment and see what might emerge. I remember years ago, at least 40 years ago, one of my first spiritual teachers lived here in Louisville. And one thing she liked to do was show movies, because she loved movies and she had a whole bunch of them. They were on videotapes. And but she would want to show movies that would touch the heart one way or another. And I remember this one in particular. It should have been called The Healer. I don't know if it was or not. It was a story of a woman who, um, as a child, kind of develops some abilities, really, spiritual abilities, and she can heal people. And once this is discovered by her parents and maybe the pastor, from this revival, revival movie, uh, then they want to make her a commodity and have her be the center stage, and she could heal people, and won't that be great? We'll get a whole bunch of people under the tent, etc. And there's that, and eventually she runs away, when she's still young, because she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to be seen that way or be a commodity. And so the movie kind of ends, there's a gap, a time gap, but it ends with a scene. Let's just say it could be anywhere in the desert, South Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. A scene where a family pulls into a gas station, and it's they're sage brushes and dust and everything like that. It's a very unwelcoming kind of place in a way. And so they pull there for gas and they get out and stretch their legs. And the lady who's now running this place, she comes out and they talk, and she says, so where are you going or where are you coming from? I said, well, we're just leaving, a big medical center in California. Our son here is 10 years old. He has kind of an inoperable cancer, and we were really, really hoping that something could be done here. And but they weren't able to do anything. And so now we're going back home. We're taking him home. And So the lady understood, and she said to the young boy, she says, "Would you like to go inside and see the two-headed snake?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." So the two of them are kind of walking there into the towards the door, and she puts her hand maybe on his head or something like that. And you know what's happening. She's healing him. And that movie was so moving to me, so beautiful. I knew that I was both characters. I was both the little boy in need of healing and searching for healing, and I was both the woman who could be helpful. Um, and I don't mean as a healer. I'm not a healer. I have none of that whatsoever. But I know that what I can do is be present to another person. I am able to hold the space, or it could be called the frequency of presence, which Eckhart Tolle defines as simple, thoughtless awareness. I can hold that space for another, and very easily now. And I know that I can do it because my teacher, who's named Moni Van Golen, who I met 20 years ago in 2005, is an acolyte of Eckhart Tolle. And at that time, anyway, she was one of three people in the world that he had authorized to be able to go out and teach using the power of name and the power of now as the book, and using his name and recommendation. And what she did when she was teaching was she spoke a few words, but she was really just holding the frequency of presence. So like a tuning fork almost, you can think of hitting a tuning fork and holding it up, and it vibrates at a certain frequency. And if there's any more tuning forks around, they will start to resonate at that frequency if they're aligned. It's called harmonic resonance, I think, or sympathetic resonance, rather. So that's well known in physics. So that's kind of how she operates. She just holds that space while she's giving a talk. And anyway, I know that I can hold that space, so I do have something to offer. Um, so I've lost my way in terms of talking, so I've probably talked enough. But I'm so, so grateful that I am learning that really love is where it's at. Um, the the temp, yeah, this love is where it's at. And oh, so in our marriage, Sharon and I got married at age 70, the first time for me, first time for her. No kids, no exes, and our marriage is about really think we before me. And I've got a great teacher, and most grateful to her. And learning is happening, and I just feel extremely blessed.